I never have set up a rival with God. This flesh is from the earth. The Quran said this is the best form. This is the most marvelous creation, the human body. Marvelous. But in this form travels an infinite power. That power that comes into this form is greater than this form. That power expresses itself through this form. Are you listening? This Quran says man and woman, we are the vicegerent of God. We take the place of God in this world. God rules through man. So when a man does what only God can do, then you don't give the credit to the man. You say God is working in the man, through the man, for the benefit of the man. So I'd like you to just bow your heads with me. If you would, please. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, thine aid we seek. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. O Allah, in the presence of your people, I have declared my illness and your power to heal. This is your people, and you have come to be their God. I'm asking you in the name of your servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to heal every wounded soul and spirit in this audience. Every person, no matter what their color, their race, their national origin, if they are ill this night in this place, I ask you to heal their bodies and their minds, that they may come to know that a mighty God is present among them. Your servant has told me that whatever I ask of you in his name, you will grant it. I beg this of you in the name of your servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. For I bear witness that there is no God but you, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. And I bear witness that the long-awaited Messiah that the world has been looking for has come to birth among a people that were no people at all. That people is the black people of America, and that Messiah is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Ameen. Thank you. Thank you. Now, brothers and sisters, I've never done this before in my life in a public place. But if you experience a healing of whatever illness you have, I wish you would let me know, and we will tell you how to get in touch with us to let us know. And now to go to the heart of the subject, and then we can go home. In overcoming disease, brothers and sisters, it is important to start in time to catch the illness in its infancy, or to nip it in the bud, as the old saying goes. And as it is with physical disease, so it is in healing the economic sickness that afflicts the black community. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned us that there was a time coming that the factories would be closing.
Yes, sir.
The gates would be locked.
Yes.
With us on the outside, unemployed.
Yes, sir.
He told us to hurry
Yes.
and unite with him on a program of doing for self before we were forced to do it. Unfortunately, we chose the path of the grasshopper,
Yes.
who plays all summer long, not thinking about winter, so that when the first blast of cold air comes, the grasshopper dies. This is the condition of black people. In a tragic time period,
Good, minister.
our days are filled with sport and play,
Yes.
and we have not given adequate thought to preparing a future for ourselves and our children.
Good, minister.
We have relied on a false hope that there will be a benevolent white man in the White House who would look after us in the same manner that the former slave masters looked after our fathers on the plantation, at least giving us crude food, crude clothing, and a crude home to live in. We have literally prayed and sang and played and partied. And now, as a people, we are faced with the terrible reality that the benevolent, philanthropic white people we have always depended upon are quickly drying up.
That's right.
And we stand face to face with a forced reality that we must now do something for ourselves or suffer the consequences. If we cannot depend on the government to look after us, then who can we depend on?
Teach, minister.
Many of us are being lulled to sleep by the so-called atmosphere of peace and tranquility produced by the breakup of the Soviet Union and by the nations appearing to unite with America. And Mr. Bush seems to be riding the crest of a mighty wave that has put him on top of the nations of the earth. And he seems to be saying, like Babylon, I sit as a queen and I shall see no sorrow. But in the night, a hand started writing on the wall. Your kingdom has been weighed in the balance and found wanting. You cannot depend on President Bush or no president, whether it is Bush or Wilder or Jackson or Johnson. Nobody who sits in the White House will be able to deliver for black people. There's something you have to know about this in order that you may not depend on government to do for you what you and I have got to get up now and do for ourselves. Listen to me carefully. Just a casual look in the newspapers will tell you that all the economies of the Western world are in a decline.
That's right. That's right.
Great Britain, decline.
That's right.
France, decline. Belgium, decline. Spain, Portugal, Italy, decline.
That's right.
West Germany was a thriving economy, but they had to spend tremendous amounts of money in the reunification. So their economy is not as strong. So the European nations, in their weakness, decided, let's unite.
That's right.
And in 1992, the common market of Europe will kick in, making Europe possibly the biggest market for goods in the world. America, as the leader of the Western world, is in a dying economic situation. The dollar appears strong, but is backed by no sound value. Are you listening to me, brothers and sisters? Banks closing.
That's right.
President Bush spending more time on foreign policy while the domestic scene begins to unravel.
That's right.
America is a strong country, all right, but not as strong. And the future looks dim, according to analysts. 10 years ago, among the 6 major banks in the world, 1 or 2 were American banks. Now, in the top 20, you may find 1 American bank. The capital of finance, you would think, is Wall Street. But the number 1 economy in the world is Japan. And she has been number 1 for several years now. What about the economies of the Asian nations? East Asia has a growing economy. China is growing. Japan is growing. Malaysia is growing. Korea is growing. The Asians are on the move, while Western economies are on a decline. With the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Eastern Bloc countries trying to restructure their economies and to look for a more capitalistic way of developing. They are struggling. The Soviet economy is just about in ruins. The Soviet Union right now is busy just trying to stay afloat. Israel, the number 1 welfare client of the United States, is asking for $10 billion. The president said, wait 120 days. And they said, listen to this. They said, no. We don't want to wait. And if you don't give us that money now, we believe you're anti-Semitic. President Bush, it appears, wants to link the loaning of $10 billion, which they say ultimately will be a grant from the pocket of the American taxpayers, because Israel don't pay back loans. But none of you ever voted to give Israel a loan. But your congressman did. The president was forced to say what I said years ago and was called an anti-Semite. That a powerful lobby is in control of the U.S. Senate. You know it and I know it, but I said it and got in trouble. Now the president comes out and he says, we know that there's a powerful lobby, but, and he said a powerful Jewish lobby. This is not anti-Semitism. This is recognition of the wisdom, organizational know-how, and economic strength of a small minority of people who can get their way in America because they're organized. Here we are, nearly 40 million people who fight organization, who fight leadership, who have billions of dollars flowing through our hands. That if we would unite like the common market and recognize we are in a decline and we need to unite in order to survive. Don't tell me I'm a Muslim and you're a Christian. I don't want to hear that. When you're hungry, and hungry don't give a damn what your religion is. 120 days from now, Israel will get 10 billion. Poland is asking for money. Russia is asking for money. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania are asking for money. Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia asking for money. Panama is asking. Costa Rica is asking. Guatemala is asking. Nicaragua is asking. Everybody is coming to America for money. She don't have enough to feed the whole world, so she has to prioritize now. You know that America has always been by white people for white people. Come on now, let's deal with truth. You know that if President Bush has to make a decision between Europe or Russia and Panama, or Russia and Ghana, or Russia and Zaire, or Russia and Tanzania, he will choose Russia and Israel every time over black countries, over brown countries. So they say that the president now will have to give aid to the Soviet Union and to the struggling new democracies in Europe. Meanwhile, in Africa, all the African economies are in decline. The African governments whose blood has been sucked by Europe for hundreds of years now is sitting as a neo-colonialist master, because all of Africa is in debt to the World Bank or the IMF. I don't know what that means. Black folk will find a meaning for that. Brothers and sisters, this is serious. Debt is slavery. Once they can hook a nation into debt above their heads, struggling to pay the interest, tying up their own natural resources to the debt, then Europe now has a firm grip on Africa's development. Then the president says to the brothers and sisters in Africa, we don't want any authoritarian military regimes. We want you to adopt a more democratic form of government. How long, white people, were you evolving until you got to this pseudo-democracy? Democracy gives the people the right to choose the direction. Giving people the right to choose is giving power to the people. Democracy presupposes the growth of intelligence that would allow the voter to vote that which is in the voter's best interest. This cannot be a true democracy with 85% of the people believing in a mystery God. Poison animal eaters don't understand the law of cause and effect. But you give them the right to vote, but not the intelligence to exercise it. You don't feed the American public the knowledge that the American public needs to make decisions for themselves. But you use television and high Madison Avenue marketing techniques to deceive the voting public and rob them of their vote in the name of democracy. But it took you 6,000 years to get to this. Now you want a black government to jump into democracy overnight. What was your mother? I'm not playing the dozens. Was your mother the president of a republic in your house? Or was she a loving dictator? Talk to me. What was the first form of government that you came up under? Did you tell your mother what you wanted to eat? Did you tell her where you wanted to sleep? Did you tell her when you were coming in? You shut your mouth. And if you dared to try, she was living in your mouth like a dentist. as you matured based upon her training of you, you demanded a different kind of handling. And this is what's wrong in most homes. We don't know when to give up dictatorship and when to reason with our children and to develop a more liberal form of government. The same way it happens in the home, it happens in the development of nations. Every nation that evolves starts first with a person. I want you to listen good. A person born out of the longing of a people to be free, and that person becomes the embodiment of the ideals of that coming nation. Are you listening? It is the responsibility of that person to feed knowledge to the people. It is the responsibility of that person to lovingly dictate until the knowledge is firmly rooted in the people, that the people may then be given the right to vote, because then they know what is in their best interest. Moses was a dictator. You don't want to call Moses a dictator, but he was a dictator. He gave Israel the dictates of God. He fed Israel until she became wise enough to know what was in her best interest. Castro is an individual. Mao Zedong was an individual. All the great prophets and leaders were individuals who came up to serve the nation by transmitting knowledge to an ignorant, oppressed people. You're not oppressed because you're black. You're oppressed because you don't know. And when you begin to know, oppression will leave, not because you're black or white, but because you know how to get out from under an oppressor. You understand me? So Mr. Bush is saying to Africa, if you will democratize, then I can help you. He said that to Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua. And when Daniel Ortega said, we'll have elections, the CIA sent millions of dollars into Nicaragua to buy an election to put into power those that would be amenable to America's foreign policy objectives. And now in Africa, they are selling the African leaders the idea of setting up a vote so that the CIA can go in and handpick who they want. And take us backwards hundreds of years. The Caribbean is no better. The bold initiatives of members of the Caribbean community to try and get out of the grip of white oppression have been crushed. And under a so-called Caribbean Basin Initiative inaugurated by President Reagan, the Caribbean now is suffering. The sugar, they can't get a decent price for their sugar. They can't get a decent price for their coffee. They can't get a decent price for their bauxite. They can't get a decent price for nothing that they produce. So they have to buy America's product at high price and sell their product at low price. They have to devalue their currency and rupture their own economic development. So black people are slipping further and further behind internationally. Are you with me? I'm almost finished. Mr. Bush got Noriega out of Panama, and he put his own group in Panama, and he promised them X amount of dollars, and they haven't got it yet.
That's right.
If his own hand-picked group can't get what the government promised them, will Africa get what Bush promises? He's not promising you nothing.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you shouldn't expect anything.
Right.
Your leaders generally have just about sold us out. I don't mean to sound ugly, but many of our leaders, most of them, have bought the nonsense that someday we'll come out of poverty with no plan. Looking to a government that does not care about us. Brothers, sisters, please, we've got to do something now. We can't wait another day for the government to look out for us. I'm pleading with you to open your eyes and see that unless we do it with the help of God, it won't get done. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that we should not set up home and wait for a mystery